So in today's session, my intention was to do an emphasis on forward bends. And then when I planned the sequence, what I ended up doing was mixing it up. And that's something that has to happen when a yoga instructor designs a class. You have to have poses and counter poses. So what I've ended up doing is having a kind of more general class with a slight emphasis on forward bends. So in a moment we'll begin, and you'll just need some props as usual in my sessions. So that would be blocks, a blanket, a bolster, and a yoga strap. And that should do it. Very good. So let's begin. Just head for your mat and take a lying down position on your back. All right, legs are bent and feet on the floor and feet slightly apart. And it's always good to start in this very beginning part, just settling the back of the body. So I do a little bit of a waggle through my hips and feel weight onto my sacrum. You can do the same thing on your shoulders so that you feel your shoulder blades are nice and flat and supportive for your upper part of your back. And then bring your hands across your torso so your palms rest on your abdomen or your diaphragm. And then close your eyes for a moment and settle in so that you feel your breath as it comes and goes without needing to do anything with it, just feeling it. So you feel the ground underneath you, beneath your back body, and letting go to that support. And feeling the breath probably a little bit more in the front of your body, in the abdominal and diaphragm area. So we have this nice relaxed beginning for our session. And from here, bend your right knee into your chest and slip your hands around the back of the leg. And then straighten the leg up towards the ceiling. Then let's alternately do a knee bend, knee towards your chest, and then straight leg up towards the ceiling. Go slow, go with the breath. Exhale, bringing the thigh towards your ribs. Inhale, stretching the back of the knee especially. Last time that you extend the leg here, have a look at your right foot and then circle your toes, your ankle bones in one direction, then the other direction. Just waking up your feet. And then in flexion, draw the toes down, toes up, back and forth. I can feel that there's an interplay with my leg muscles when I do this dorsiflexion and plantar flexion. And then you could turn your foot in, turn your foot out, supinate, pronate, like that. And then let's take up the belt. Take your yoga strap and loop it over your right foot. And then just with a little bit more resistance here, extend your legs straight as you can in your comfort range here. And also feel the long bone of the femur down into the hip socket. So when you are stretching, you're in two directions. So the back of the leg extending up through the heel and the top of the thigh down into its hip socket. And we just take a few breaths there. Shoulders are relaxed. Through this sequence, I'm going to keep my left leg bent with my left foot flat on the floor behind my left buttock. And then take up the belt into just your right hand and extend the right leg to the right. And then let the left knee drop out to the left. You can do a little core work here and turn the navel. Instead of tilting to the right side, we want to turn the navel to the left through those core muscles so that you stay even on the back of the pelvis. So a light grip onto the belt and feel the groin stretch even, right leg, left leg. Then we take the leg straight up again. The left knee comes up too, left foot flat on the floor. And then take your right leg in front of the left leg and take the right leg to the left. I'm going to switch my grip onto the belt and hold with my left hand. My left knee moves towards the right, so there's a crossover at the top of the thighs. And then if I squeeze a little and alternately squeeze and then let go, you'll find you can feel your pelvic floor muscles, the squeezing and then letting go completely. All right, let's go back to center position, the right leg straight up towards the ceiling, the left knee pointing towards the ceiling, and then draw the right knee towards your right ribs. If you can see my position, my right shin bone is perpendicular to the floor. So I'm going to do a bent leg position and drawing the right knee down. It's kind of in line with my right armpit. And at the same time, move the right sitting bone towards the floor. You have a deep crease at the front of the right hip. And then let's move into another position here, a variation where you're placing your right foot on your left thigh. The right knee is out to the right side. Weight is still even on the back of your pelvis. And just stay with this hip opening. So it's an external rotation of your right hip and right thigh. And then let's go back to middle ground and place your right foot back onto the floor. And we'll be starting all over on the left side. So take up the left knee towards your chest. Instead of using the belt initially, slip your hands around the back of the thigh and alternately extend and bend the left knee towards your chest. As we go through these movements, we're not necessarily going to the end range of our movements. It's just a warm-up. It's just to kind of juice up the knee joint, the hip joint. And then keeping the leg straight, have a look at your left foot and then rotate toes and foot bones and ankle. One direction and then the other direction. And then let's go toes down, heel up, and then toes up, heel down. And exploring how that movement feels for you today. All right, now it's time to take up the belt. And when you've got the loop over your left foot, I like a two-hand grip onto the belt, and my shoulders back on the floor. And then from here, consider once again that long bone of the femur right back into its hip socket, and feel that weight at the back of the pelvis. And at the same time, as though you're resisting against the belt, push up against the belt towards the ceiling. So pushing up at the same time as pressing the femur down. And then transfer the belt just into your left hand and take the left leg to the left. Drop your right knee to the right, out to the side. Because the left leg is heavy here in that range of movement out to the side, let's correct and balance the weight back onto the right buttock, the right back of your pelvis, and avoid tilting just over to the left side. Feel the groin stretch even, left leg, right leg. Good. Haul that leg back up to the vertical. Bring your right knee up to the vertical. And then do a crossover. Slip your hand, right hand onto the belt. Bring your right knee to the left and your left leg to the right. The legs cross over at the top of your thighs. And then you can practice that pelvic floor movement, alternately squeezing and then letting go completely. Squeeze in those muscles. It'll feel like your hips are more compact when you do that. And then letting it go. And one more time. And then left leg to the vertical. Right knee pointing towards the ceiling. Bend the left knee in towards you. Think about the left knee in line with the left armpit and the left shin bone perpendicular to the floor. And finally, move the back of the left pelvis, the left sitting bone towards the floor too. Let's do that crossover movement. So bending the left knee out to the left side, bring the left foot onto your right thigh. I'm going to use my hands, the thumb in the crease of the leg at the top, and turn the both thighs outwards. Left thigh turns out from the hip crease, right thigh turns out. And feel that external rotation, hip and leg. And then release, and both feet on the floor. And then just for a nice rotation for your spine, separate your feet. Bring your arms out wide from your shoulders, and then allow the knees to drop right, back up, drop left. Get in sync with your breathing again, and able to do a nice neck rotation as well. Just gentle movement in a slow fashion. All right, and then next time the knees drop to the left, let's roll over in that direction and come up to a seated position. In kneeling Virasana, I'm going to sit on a block. I've got my yoga block in the mid-range position, and I'm sitting with the height underneath my hips. So the compression behind my knees is less, and I'm still in this warm-up phase. Let's do something stretchy for your shoulders. Interlock your hands, turn your palms inside out, stretch your elbows straight, and then as you raise your arms, extend through the elbows, but keep the diaphragm ribs, those ribs at the front of your torso, nice and calm and relaxed down into the abdomen. They don't protrude, they relax downwards. And then bring your hands to chest height, change the way you clasp your hands, change the interlock, stretch up. Diaphragm ribs are relaxed downwards, and see if you can take the arms back a little further so you begin to feel the upper back support from your shoulder blades. Lovely. And then lowering your arms and releasing. Take up your belt again. And this time holding the belt on either side. Bring the belt into the crease of your legs. So we call this part at the top of your thighs and at the lowest part of your torso, the hip crease. And with your hands next to your hips, pull back a little bit and then do a slight bend forward. So really what you're doing is you're extending the spine, and we're keeping it in a straight position, but the hips are back. You could lift your tailbone here, which keeps your hips in an anterior tilt, and that's a good thing for this movement. So feel where you've got the belt. Imagine a kind of imprint that the belt is making, and then coming all the way up again. Let's take child's pose. And as we've been working in the same slow fashion, separate your knees a little bit, bring your feet closer together or all the way together, and keep your arms extended forward. Gradually, I'm going to lower my buttocks back towards my heels, but because this is a knee compression and hip flexion, just go as far as you feel your body's warmed up at this time. And folding back, walk your hands forward, keep your chest up so that we do have more of this flat back position, not bowing the back at all, and just easing the buttocks back. Can you feel where you had the belt? And deepen that crease at the top of the thighs. All right, and then from here, lift up and bring your hands in close to you. Place your hands flat and a little flatter at the backs of your knuckles. So less weight onto your wrists, more onto the backs of your fingers. And then tuck your toes under. And we're ready to move into downward facing dog pose. In this most relaxed way to begin with. So flex your knees and lift your buttocks high. Keep a knee bend so you can stretch your shoulders that little bit more. And also reducing some of the stiffness in the upper back and the shoulders. So buttocks are high, tailbones lifted, head pointing down, and then come back through kneeling to child's pose with your arms still extended forward. Folding back, feel that deep hip crease. Roll forward, all fours kneeling. Tuck your toes under, lift your knees, lift your hips, lift your tailbone. And then can you still feel the crease at the top of the thighs here in dog pose? Little by little, you might want to stretch your legs straighter. I'm just wanting slowly to warm up the hamstrings. Let's go one more round. So kneeling, all fours. Child's pose, folding back. Feel that deep crease at the top of your thighs. Come forward, bring your chest forward. And one more time for downward facing dog pose. Good, stretch away through your shoulders. Remember that pressure through the backs of the knuckles. If you can, straight elbows. And if you can, then straight knees. Lift your tailbone. Take a walk forward or walk your hands back at the same time. And inhale and come up to standing. Grab your belt again. It just helps to create an awareness exercise, an awareness of this part of your body. So take the belt and slip it into the fold at the top of the hips. When you're standing straight, there is no fold there. But if you start to bring your chest forward, you can feel that groove there. Keep a hold of the belt near to your hips, and at the same time as you pull back, as though you're resisting going forward, pulling back, then we're working through the crease at the top of the thighs. There's an anterior tilt from the pelvis if you lift your tailbone here. We're not quite going down yet, more projecting head, chest, and the whole torso forward. All right, and then finally, let go of that belt. You can still feel the imprint of it there, and release your hands down. Release your head down. Where your hands land is probably the right place for you, and that might be shins, ankles, or hands onto the floor. Let's stay for several more breaths. You are breathing. I'm breathing. Lift your tailbone and keep that fold at the top of the hips nice and deep. All right, and then we're going to bend our legs to come up and bring your head up. Last, arms just by your side. Let's do a few lunges and incorporate them in in some salutes. So very simple salutes. I'm going to bring my blocks back in and have them on the high position, and I'm standing back just a little distance from the blocks. I think we can do a little bit more for the arms and the shoulders. Let's bring the arms out to the side, wide out to the side, and then extend right to the tips of your fingers. And there's always a little bit more to go there. And at the same time, feel the top of the arms into the shoulder girdle. And then same extension, but with palms upwards. And turn out as much as you can from the topmost arm. Turning out, and tuck the shoulder blades forward. And then bring your arms up overhead. Arms parallel, hands parallel. Feel your footing, both feet on the ground. And then arms out to the side and back to where you started. Bring your hands into prayer position. Lift your elbows a little bit to open up the corners of your chest. And then big sweeping movement. Bring the arms up, inhale. And take your forward bend, crease of the hips. Bring your hands onto the tops of the thighs, heels of the hands. And step the left foot back into a lunge. Left knee to the floor. So this is a nice warm-up. Bring your chest forward and up. Switch on the hamstrings at the back of the left thigh and the left buttock muscle. Keep the top of the right thigh downwards, and that right thigh is turning out slightly. From here, we're going to step up and big step forward. Uttanasana, head down, buttocks up, and then arms out to the side, and come back to prayer. Let's take another lunge there. Inhale. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale now, right knee back. In your lunge, balancing on your right knee. Feel the right buttock and the back of the right thigh, and then drop down through the crease of the left leg. Chest nice and high, armpit chest open, and then we're stepping up in one movement, right foot to left foot. Good. Stay in Uttanasana for another breath or two, and then feel that
falling forward, forward fold movement from the topmost thighs, from the bottom of the torso, lift your tailbone. Inhale, let's bring the arms up at the same time as lifting the chest, and exhale back to prayer. Good. Let's see. We'll go through 2 more rounds, but I'm going to take my blocks down a peg and just have them flat. That's going to work for me. You just have to figure out what works for you, what height, or if you use them at all. So here we go. Hands in prayer. Inhale, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Got my hands on my blocks. I'm going to take my left foot back and keep it straight this time. Draw your chest forward. We're going to step back from here to downward facing dog pose. Right foot back. Good. Stretch away through your shoulders. Take another couple of extra breaths there. And then stepping left foot forward to where we started. Right foot follows. Uttanasana. Inhale, arms up. Exhale to prayer. All right, we're going to step off the right foot this time. Right foot back, right leg stays straight. Bring your chest through. Can you straighten the back leg and tone the right buttock? A lot to think about. And left foot to right foot, downward facing dog pose. Stretch away through your shoulders. Take advantage of that. And then big step forward, right foot. Left foot. Beautiful. Inhale, arms up. Exhale to prayer. And we hold it there and allow the breathing to be calm. And settling. Lovely. All right, I'm finished with the blocks for the time being. So off to the side. And then let's do a kind of bending movement, but we call it a lateral bend. So in Trikonasana, let's stand with our feet apart, a little bit more than a meter's distance apart. And we'll be doing 2 standing poses here. Triangle pose, Trikonasana, and Warrior One pose. So starting with Trikonasana, turn your left foot in, turn your right foot out 90 degrees. And then keep your hands onto your hips initially and feel the footprints. Right foot, left foot, the outline of the feet. And then if I take my right hand into the joint of the hip and the pelvis and press back. So I've got my thumb in the back of that crease at the top of the leg and my index finger at the front. And if I press in there and tilt to the right side, that's what we call the lateral bend. So that lateral movement out to the side. And then there'll be a point where you meet resistance and you're not going to go any further. Maybe you feel this in your hamstrings more. At this point, just drop your right arm beneath your right shoulder. Good. And lift your tailbone. So I find if I lift my tailbone, then I can often go a little further into, deepen the side bend. And then take the left arm up towards the ceiling if you're ready to do that. Good. Feel your footing again, and especially left foot. We're going to come up from the left foot. Inhale all the way up to standing. Turn feet inward and to the left side. Good. Pause. 2 feet on the ground. Drop your shoulders. Slip your hand into the crease of the left leg again and do your sideways tilt. Straight away I'm bringing my right arm up. Right hand beneath the right shoulder. And feel that sideways movement from the top of the left thigh. lift your tailbone. Relax your shoulders. One breath will bring you up, all the way up. Upright, and then turn your feet in. And let's go one more time each side. And then once you've done that sort of self-adjustment, you've got the idea of it, so you can keep your arms out wide in line with your shoulders and move out to the right. And it feels like almost like you're retracting the right thigh into its hip socket. And right hand down and left arm up and reaching up and down. Lift your tailbone. Inhale, come all the way up. And side 4, I guess this is. And out to the left. Taking in at the top of the left thigh. It's as though the femur is going deeper into its socket. And left hand down, right arm up. The left thigh turns out, the right thigh turns in. Shoulders back. Okay, good work. Inhale, come all the way up. Feet front and center, and then step back in. Let's move into the setup for Warrior One pose. So I'm going to turn and face the short end of my mat. Right foot forward, left foot back. Get your balance there, and balance will be enhanced if you keep a little space between the tops of your thighs. And then let's just practice the knee bend, bending the right leg. The left buttock switches on, and then straightening, bending and straightening. When you bend the right leg, the right knee moves a little bit to the right. And we've got the crease now at the top of the right thigh. All right, hold it in the straight leg position, and we'll add the arm movement with the arms in goalpost position. So bending the right leg, bring the arms out to the side with the elbows bent. Inhale, exhale, arms back down, straight legs. Inhale, keep your chest high, exhale. You can tilt your chin, look up at the ceiling if you like. And let's go 2 more rounds in your own breathing pattern. Okay, good. And then step up and step right foot back. And get your balance there. Feel that what will improve your balance is keeping the hips nice and compact from the outer hips to the midline of your body. And then we practice just bending and straightening. In the bent leg position, you can find that crease of the leg again. The left hip drops. Good. And then next time, straight legs. Let's add the arm movement. Inhale, move the elbows back a little bit further so you can feel your shoulder blades. So bent elbows, they come back a little bit more than your hands. And like that. And just one more. And releasing. And step up. Good. Give the legs a little shake out. And ankles and feet and toes. Very good. All right, let's move into a couple of seated positions. And I'm going to use, I've got a small bolster. You could use a folded blanket to sit on, or a bigger bolster. And the other thing is the belt. So keep a strap next to your seat. And extend your legs straight out in front of you. Good. So we can do this little side-to-side movement with the hips, drawing the buttocks back away from the sitting bones. So we want to keep, if we have a posterior tilt to the pelvis, then it's going to encourage us to round our back. So we want to go the opposite way and keep that crease at the top of the thighs nice and deep and lift the tailbone a little bit. So as much as possible, sitting straight. For you, you might need to bend your knees a little bit to find that upright position without feeling like you're fighting against your body. And then take the belt onto your feet. And I'm going to have it at the balls of the feet rather than the arch of the foot. And then push out against the resistance of the belt. So if I pull back, a two-hand grip onto the belt, and then push out through the backs of the toes. My legs start to straighten. And I'm more interested in sitting up straight than coming forward at this point. But there may be scope for you to come a little forward. So the pose is Paschimottanasana. It's a strong forward bend, and that comes from it being a test for our hamstrings, the backs of the knees, the hamstrings. Good. And then let it go. And we're going to keep the left leg straight and bend the right knee out to the side for Janusirsasana. Now when I do this, I've got a big hip opening that allows me to bring my knee to the floor, but adapt the pose as you need to. If the knee is not close to the floor, support it with one of those yoga blocks. All right, and then take up your belt onto your left foot and extend against the resistance of the belt, so pulling the belt, but pushing out in that strong fashion at the base of the big toe, at the base of the toes. Good. And drawing yourself up to your full height. And then go at your own pace here. I've just wound a little bit of the belt onto my hands, and I'm going forward. I could just do a little reality check with the one hand, check to see whether my spine is still straight. Especially if you have the condition of osteoporosis, you don't want to bow your back in any way at all. You want to be able to lift up out of the pelvis and keep the back straight. All right, and then release. And left leg, right leg straight with the right leg straight and the left leg bent. And then let's see what it's like on this side. Keep the crease at the top of the right thigh towards the floor. So see if you can deepen it. Lift your tailbone. A firm grip onto the belt and pressing out against the resistance of the belt so that the right leg feels long from the top of it to the heel, but from the crease of the leg pressing down, the right buttock is supported. And just wind a little bit of the belt onto my hands, coming forward. The left leg, we don't pay too much attention to it, but it probably needs some attention. Soften the left thigh and allow the left thigh to roll out. All right, and then draw yourself up, release, and extend the left leg with the right, Dandasana. And let's do one more round where, let's see, right leg bent, left leg straight. For a lateral movement, we explored that in Trikonasana. So let's take the left leg out to the left, and the right knee is to the right. If your knee grizzles against this bent leg position, you can keep the legs straight and be in Upavista Konasana. However, otherwise, like Janu Shirsasana, but the maximum distance between the legs. So here we are, we're all set up. I'm going to take my belt onto the left foot, like I've been doing. Hold your strap just into your left hand. Look at your left arm and your left leg. They're in one line, one above the other. And then leaning. So we already started that lean to the left side, that lateral movement. Nice deep fold at the top of the left hip. And then let's add one more movement. Bring your right fingertips on your right shoulder, your right elbow bent. Lift your elbow up towards the ceiling. And then see if you can increase your sideways movement to the left. If your shoulder feels fine with the next part, then extend your right arm overhead, my right bicep above my right ear, and then leaning out to the left side. If you could see this side on, then my right arm would be above my left arm above my right leg. And then inhale and come up and change your legs. So you're in Upavista Konasana, or this version, lateral Janu Shirsasana. Set yourself up well so that when you have your right arm above your left, you're holding the belt near to your foot, and then deepen the crease at the top of the right thigh. Do your lean out over that leg. If your shoulder feels fine, to extend the arm, to extend the shoulder, then you'll have your left arm above your right arm still above your left. Good. Can you keep the left buttock towards the floor? It wants to lift up. Good. Inhale and come up. And bring your legs out in front of you. Give them a good stretch. Good. Let's go one more round. It's just such a unusual thing to do to our body, to do sideways movements. We can bend forward, we can bend back. I'm going to let go of the belt this time because I'm so close to grabbing my foot. I'm going to grab my big toe. So left leg straight, left arm above, straight arm above your left leg. And now we're going to straight away bring your right arm overhead. Then just to create a little more element of challenge, bring your left shoulder blade forward, actually the left side of your chest, and bring the right side of your chest back. Good. Come on up. Did you go a little further at that time? I did. I didn't even try. It was just that my body sort of knew the pathway that time. So here we go. Right leg straight. Reach out your right hand to the belt or hold your right foot, big toe, palm upwards. And here we go to complete the pose and bringing arm overhead. Like I said, if your shoulder's very tight, then keep an elbow bend. And for the very last part, did that left buttock come up again? Can you bring it down? Right shoulder blade forward, right side of your chest forward. Inhale, bring your arms up. Extend your arms straight out in front of you. And we'll do a counter pose to what we've just done in these back movements. Lying on your back, some bridge poses. Move into a lying down position where your legs are bent and your feet are on the floor near to your buttocks. Settle your back. Have your arms out to the side. Leave a gap between your upper arms and your upper ribs. And turn your palms down towards the floor. Press your palms down. Press your arms down and press your shoulder blades down. Can you keep the front of your neck soft even as you do that? Lift your tailbone a fraction off the floor and feel your hamstrings start to come on. Press the inside of your feet, lift your pelvis a little more, and feel the glutes, the buttock muscles switch on. Lifting up and now turning your arms out. Turn your palms up towards the ceiling. Turn your arms out right at the very top of the arms. And then in reverse, bring your spine towards the floor, a vertebra at a time. Turn your palms over. Press your hands down. Press your arms down. Press your shoulder blades down. And now press your sacrum down too. Let's go again. We're going to do 3 rounds like that. And coming up. With the strength of the back body, hamstrings, buttock muscles, turn your arms out, open the top of your chest, peeling right up as high along the spine as you can, and then happily peeling back down to the floor slowly, and turn your arms over and turn your palms down. Last time, coming up in your own good time. Keep pressure on the inside of your feet so your knees stay in a line. They want to drop out to the side. And then the arms turn out, the chest opens out, and then lower down. Bend one knee into your chest, second knee into your chest. Hold at your patellas, just at the front of your knees. And then with a nice deep hip crease, bring your thighs towards your ribs. And even here, move your sitting bones towards the floor. In a moment, we're going to do inversion, which is legs straight up. And I want a little elevation underneath my hips. And you can do that either having a block underneath your sacrum, or I've got these small bolsters, and that will do me. So from feet on the floor position, lift your pelvis and slide your support underneath your sacrum. Sometimes you have to move around a fraction so that you get to the sweet spot where it feels like your back is supported and that you can let the weight of your sacrum go into the support. I still have my belt right here, and I'm going to use it as I extend my legs up towards the ceiling. I'll keep the belt on the balls of my feet. So legs straight. If your hamstrings protest to that, then keep a knee bend. But do keep your knees over your pelvis. By now you might find it's quite a bit easier to straighten your legs. But the last part to straighten is often the backs of the knees. So that vertical line at the back of the knees, you might get to it by tightening the quadriceps right above the knees. So legs straight up and pressing against the resistance of the belt so your legs feel long from the long bone of the thigh, but at the same time you're fully grounded in the back body with the buttocks and the sacrum. Notice if you've got a hard grip onto the belt, a white knuckle grip, and soften. Your fingers can be more relaxed. Relax your shoulders. We'll take one more minute here in this mini inversion. And to move on from this, bend your legs down and hold the front of your legs. This time, clasp your hands around the front of your knees and feel that fold at the top of your thighs and the bottom of your pelvis that we've been working with. Turn your thighs in, move your tailbone down. Next is the yoga relaxation. So when you release from the pose, set yourself up with the props that you need for your level of comfort. A big buzzword these days is self-care, and certainly when we get to the completion of the class, the Shavasana is in that category where you get to take care of yourself. So when you take your reclining position, initially your legs are bent and your feet on the floor. And then you could stay in that position if that serves your lower back better, or extend the legs over a bolster. So find your comfort level. Using the props or not, but taking time just to release the body weight. Feel what supports you underneath you. And ultimately, that's the earth. Feel grounded. And possibly by now you've covered your eyes with a soft eye covering or simply closed your eyes. Relax them. You might notice, if you can, when the eyes are more relaxed, there's less movement of them, less interest in looking out towards even mental images. So let your eyes drop down, soften downwards, and shift your gaze so that you're looking into center chest, into your heart center. In our short check-in at the beginning of the class, in the lying down position, we observe the breath with the body motionless now, the breath becoming quieter and quieter. Stay quiet a few minutes longer, the eyes still closed, and just bend your elbows and rest your hands over your torso, perhaps to better feel your breath. And spend a little while in the next step. So after you bend your legs and roll onto one side, make a pillow out of your folded arm and just rest there in this kind of fetal position. And moving slowly and almost reluctant to come up. We'll finish in a seated position. And I'll come back to one of the first poses, sitting in Virasana or sitting cross-legged. And then we join hands in front of the chest in this gesture that's used through many, many cultures, a sign of respect to ourselves. Lift your elbows a little bit and feel the sides of the chest open and the heart elevated. And then incline your head towards your heart center, and send that message of respect and kindness and goodness and love out into the wider world. We thank the tradition of yoga for our practice and for being able to practice together. Namaste.